back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. Today we're going to be doing a little bit with some of the herbal things that I've got going on my farm. I am not super proficient with herbalism. It's something that I'm dipping my toe in and I would love to dive more into, but I'm going a little bit slow with it. What I have here are some rose petals from roses that I grew here on my farm. At one point they smelled very, very fragrant, and right now in their dry stage they don't. The reason that I dried these out is I would like to actually infuse these petals into some oil. And as many of you know, oil and water don't really mix. If I had left these wet, there's a chance that the oil could go off or turn rancid. So these being dry should keep the oil nice. And hopefully in the future we'll be using this rose oil to make some tallow lotion bars, but that's going to be a little bit. I need to let this oil steep. The oil that I'm going to use to infuse today is a castor oil, and I'm only using this because it's the oil that I have on hand. I'm looking for a more neutral smelling oil that is skin nourishing, and in the past castor oil has been that for me. I also have this rose oil that I set up on July 30th, so it probably could be strained. This one I made with olive oil, and actually it smells a lot less like olive oil than it did when I set it up, so that's nice. I can't say that it smells like rose, it really doesn't. A lot of the roses that I used were the multiflora rose. You can kind of see them right here. They're mostly looking green at this point, but that rose isn't particularly fragrant, so I'm not really surprised. I also have this lion's mane mushroom that I have had sitting in this Everclear for a really long time. Actually, January 29th is when I set this up, and I'm going to strain it finally today. Now, lion's mane is a mushroom that we actually grow a lot of here. I'm growing some more, and we'll look at it in just a second. I imagine this is one of those things where I want to get out every last drop that I can. I had a friend give me some giant tea bags, so I think I'm going to go get one. That'll help us out. They're not as big as I remembered, but it'll do. You could also use a cheesecloth, preferably probably butter muslin, because all these little bits of the lion's mane would probably come through a regular cheesecloth. Reminds me of tuna fish, like hard, dense tuna fish. Can you hear it squeaky too? Very interesting. I dropped a few bits in there. Plus it looks like there's like silty stuff on the bottom. I don't know if that matters. I'm just going to strain it out anyway. I've got some milk filters here. There we go. Caught all kinds of gunk. And that's what we ended up with. Long time coming. And here are the lion's mane mushrooms I am currently growing. We actually harvested from this same block a couple of weeks ago, and we canned the mushrooms. I think with these ones I'll set up another tincture so that when that runs out I'll have another one. They did not have to sit that long. That was excessive. Along with the lion's mane I have a block of chestnut mushrooms going, and I was sent some antler reishi, which, can you see them growing? These ones grow inside the bag. Apparently they thrive with CO2. Can you see them in there? You can see where they get their name. It looks like little baby antlers growing in there. Super cool. These guys are almost at the size where we can harvest them. I think I read about 4 inches. Some of them are about that size, but I need to do a little bit of research on exactly what to do with them before I harvest them. I'll leave them for now. I'm totally not sponsored, but this is where I have been doing a lot of my research on herbs lately. The Beekeeper's Apothecary. Kaylee with the Homestead put this lovely resource out. She's got a lot of recipes with rose petals and different ways to use rose, but she doesn't have a page specifically dedicated to rose and all the benefits of it. Basically, it's good for the aging woman and aging skin, hormone balancing, skin nourishing, that kind of thing. That's at least my goal with it. And as far as the mushrooms go, let's dive in a little bit. So we look in the back and find lion's mane, LMNOP, gotta back up, Lion's mane mushroom is known to enhance cognitive function, boost memory, and improve focus. It's especially helpful for those experiencing brain fog or mental fatigue. Very, very helpful. That is why I started that tincture. And Kaylee has a personal use application here. She says, I powder the fruiting body and take it to turn my brain on. The effect is almost immediate and it's noticeable when I skip a day. Herbal actions are nootropic, neuroprotective, immunomodulator, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antibiotic, anti-digestive tonic. So I'm excited to have it. Now, as far as reishi, here we go. This is a different type that grows in this more scallop pattern. Reishi is known as an immunomodulator. I'll read her little blip she's got down here. Immunomodulators are a class of herbs and fungi that have the ability to modulate or regulate the immune system by either stimulating or suppressing the immune response depending on the body's needs. If your immune system is underactive, then it will raise it, and it will lower an overactive immune system. Very, very cool. She's actually got a recipe in here for an immunomodulating mushroom electuary. I just learned what an electuary is. It's basically when you powder up something herbal and beneficial and put it inside honey and take it that way. It does sound a lot more appetizing than a tincture using Everclear. That's probably gonna burn on the way down, but it'll be worth it. I am sure that we can dry and powder this and put this straight in honey and use it like that. That's probably gonna be my plan for these. At least for today, I think I'm going to leave them right where they are. Hello and happy Saturday to you. So I've got some planting to do. I actually planted my fall and winter brassicas a month earlier than I normally do. I am praying that they survive this heat wave well. At least the Green Magic hybrid broccoli that I've planted is supposed to be pretty heat tolerant. Thankfully, in a couple of days, our heat is going to break, and so I hope that everything that's in the greenhouse already will be all right. But if you watched the recent garden tour, you know that unfortunately, Farrell's beans are basically done over on the lane, and I think there's a 10 or 12 grow bags out there that I will be moving into the greenhouse and growing in over the fall and winter. And so I want to start some things for those grow bags today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things. I do have basically 6 different rows here, so let's fill them up. Now, one of my all-time favorite things to grow and to eat are greens. Right now we are growing and eating off of our Malabar spinach. Farrell is loving that as well, thank goodness. But it's not going to survive once a frost or freeze inevitably does come in the greenhouse. There's the plane going overhead, which is kind of a rarity. We're just gonna go with it, okay? But as far as greens go, for the winter time, I'm gonna grow this white Russian kale, America spinach. I have had success growing spinach over the winter finally, so I've got high hopes. And then this here is a lettuce mix. I know that at least these lettuces are going to need some light to germinate, so I'm just gonna sprinkle these over the top. The rest of them, I'm probably only going to put in about a half a fingernail's width down into the soil. I think I will kind of just rough up and fluff up this soil where I'm going to be putting the lettuces. They do need to nestle down into the soil some, but not so that they are completely blocked off from light. But they do need contact with the soil so that they can get enough moisture. So you can see the different colors of the different varieties here. And what we'll be planting is essentially like a baby greens grow bag out there. So I will probably thin these some, but not a whole lot. I do want them to grow a little bit closer together so that the leaves can stay small and tender. There's quite a few seeds in this packet. That's good. It's good value. 2 grams of seed in here. Next, we'll plant the America spinach. I don't think I've grown this variety before. And here's what these seeds look like, much bigger. Put a couple seeds in each and plan to thin them out. When these spinach seeds come up, they do kind of look like little grass blades coming up. It's very, very interesting. That's their seedling leaves. The mature spinach leaves look like what's on the packet here. Here's our lovely kale seeds. They are from the brassica family, so they look a lot like mustard seed, which is also in the brassica family. A couple seeds per hole. And next I have some slow bolt cilantro. I have cilantro that volunteers in my perennial garden every year, but this year I didn't harvest it. And I ran out of cilantro while I was making my salsa this year. And funny enough, by the time my tomatoes and my peppers are ripe to make fresh salsa, my cilantro has always bolted. Now I've never grown the slow bolt variety. I might try this going into the spring and summer next year, but I know that it's going to do well over the fall and winter. It likes cool weather and it is frost tolerant, so we can grow a lot of this now, preserve it now, and then save it for next year's salsa making. Big seeds like that. This is actually the spice coriander. And what slow bolt means, where if it does get kind of hot in the greenhouse, ordinarily it's the heat that would trigger the cilantro to go to seed or to flower. It's called bolting. And this variety should be a little bit more tolerant of the heat and be slower to bolt or flower and go to seed. Now, I am about to start a root vegetable in a start tray and eventually transplant it out later. I haven't done a lot of this. I've done it a little bit with rutabaga, and admittedly, I'm not that great at growing beets, but I have seen people start their root vegetables this way, mostly beets and rutabaga, so I'm gonna try it. Let's see what happens. Beet seeds are so interesting looking. They're like little, I don't know, dried up stars looking things. I've heard people say that there's actually multiple seeds inside one of these larger, I don't know, seed cluster things here. If you know more about that, let us know, because that's very intriguing. I am still going to put a couple of seeds per cell tray just in case. The reason why a lot of people just direct sow their root vegetables is most root vegetables do not prefer their root to be disturbed. And there's actually quite a few plants that don't prefer it, but it seems like some of them can tolerate it. So we'll see. Now, we grew a lot of onions this past year, and I have a lot of them preserved, and I even did freeze dry and preserve some of the onion tops. We're actually almost out of those, and when I've added them to different dishes and things, they're good and they add that oniony flavor, but they're nothing like a fresh onion, a fresh green onion on top of like a rice dish or scrambled eggs or stuff like that. You just can't beat it, and I'd like to have some more fresh green onions. So I'm gonna grow these warrior bunching onions, and the way that bunching onions work is you should plant them and keep them close together. One seed is not going to create a cluster of onions. The cluster of onions comes from a bunch of seeds planted together. Beautiful black, interestingly shaped seeds. They're kind of like sesame seeds, but a little flatter. And we'll keep these bunched together, so I won't be thinning these unless I've got like way too many in one pot. We'll see, about 4 or 5 I'll keep together. There we go, just like that, lots of starts are planted. And it should be about one of these trays per grow bag that I have. So it won't be long and we should fill those out again. Also, this is funny. You might be noticing that I haven't marked any of these spots where I have planted things. That is because in general I feel like I can tell what I've planted when it comes up. A lot of these just look super different as little seedlings, so I think I'll be okay. But guys, this is so hilarious. Look what I bought. When I saw these online, I thought these were little planting tags that I could put in here. They are not. Look at how huge these are. It's like the biggest popsicle stick of your life. That. I'm pretty sure these are designed to go in beds or in the grow bags, so we'll do this later, but that cracked me up and I wanted to share it with you. It says large size, easy to find in the garden. They're right. Good morning. It is Sunday and it's a little bit cloudy outside, so it's gonna be a little bit dark here in my milking area, but I bought a thing and I wanted to talk about it. Now, a lot of you know that I do already have a really nice milking machine. It's from Caprolite and I love it. This is the hand top milking machine that I bought with my own money as a backup to that machine. And the reason that I've got it out today is I want to try it out. Not only did I buy this as a backup just in case anything happens and my big machine needs servicing, but this is smaller and it's something that maybe my kids could handle a little bit better. And let's say we've got a lot of snow on the ground and I can't really wheel my other milker through the snow easily. I can pick this up. My elbows are one of the main reasons that I have a milking machine at all. I prefer to hand milk, but my arms don't let me past about a gallon's worth of milk. Both of my elbows start hurting. And we are coming into crafting season. I really enjoy knitting and crochet, and now that I've picked that up a little bit more, I am noticing some pain in my elbows. So should I need to use this over the fall and winter when I do have a little bit less volume coming in, this could be very, very handy. Plus, I get a lot of questions from you guys about this machine, and I never have had first-hand experience with it to be able to tell you what I think. So this allows for that as well. Now, this is the first day that I'm going to use it. I'm not going to use this regularly, but I think it will be helpful for you to see how this kind of thing works, especially for the first time on goats that aren't used to this sort of thing. Because oftentimes when you change things up on goats, it could be minor. They don't really cooperate, and that's very normal. So it didn't come with this little carrier. I put it in here, but it does have this canister, which it says that it's 6 liters. I don't know if I believe that. And this is the power bit right here. We've got teat cups and little tube closers, and it does have a pulsation. It just started raining, so you're gonna hear that too. The directions that came with this told us to turn on the pump and then keep these tabs closed to be able to develop pressure in the canister for about 40 seconds. There is a variable speed too, or variable suction, and that is nice. You can kind of hear the difference. Okay, there it goes. It's okay, it's okay. And before I put this on any goat, I did stick my fingers down in the inflations with it on to kind of see what I thought of the pressure, since I can't tell with this machine how much pressure is being exerted. And I will say the pulsation that it has isn't like a full release of the suction. It basically has a constant suction with a teeny tiny release there in the middle that makes it kind of look like it's pulsing, but it's still kind of constantly pulling. So I don't know. We'll see what her teeth look like when we take it off. It is working. All right, they look pretty normal. You do have to hold it on so it can get suction, but it does get suction pretty fast. Okay. It is working. It's effective. Let's take a peek. But we've got both girls up here just as empty as if I hand milked them. All right. One of the things I was wondering about is how much foam would be in there. It's a pretty significant amount of foam, but that's normal. Shindy here has smaller teats than her sister and her grandma, so we'll see how well we can get suction with her. She also is the least adaptable to change, so she could be doing a lot of kicking even with the hobbles. You're all right. It's just me. It's just me. You're okay. Good girl. Good girl. It's just me. Good girl. Don't kick. Good girl. You're doing good. You're doing good. We have milk. that's all the girls that I milk. And I don't feel like it took longer. Sometimes I feel like machine milking takes longer, but that thing seems pretty efficient, which is nice. Tori's teat has a little bit of a hickey at the top, but there is a variable suction on that, and I could play around with that. Softer udders may need a little bit less pressure. Yep, that's about the right amount of milk. This little fish air pump that my mentor sent me, and the little tube fits on here pretty well, and it just will blow a puff of air through the hose and help dry it out faster so that it has less of a chance of growing any bacteria in between uses. Overall, I'd say that I do kind of like that milker. It seemed pretty efficient, at least for the milking volume that we're bringing in right now. If you have a doe that really has large orifices and puts out a lot of milk at once, I don't know how well these little tubes will hold up. For all I know, it could do pretty well. I don't have experience with that, but initial impressions are pretty good for that. Good afternoon. It is Monday. I will be putting these peppers in the freeze dryer a little bit later, but we have a storm rolling in, and we are officially into like our fall time severe weather season, and so we need to go shut the greenhouse because they're saying wind gusts of 50 miles an hour. Oh, look, there's snacks over here. Now the greenhouse structure itself is actually fine with some pretty significant wind pressure. It does have wind bracing in it, and we've oriented it on our land in a way where the most prevalent winds come from the west. And so basically it hits it on a broadside, but because of this curve, it essentially like kind of pushes the greenhouse back into the ground instead of trying to lift up. It's one reason that I want to close the side, but also the seedlings that we have in here, they haven't seen anything close to 50 miles an hour, so I don't want them to get beat up or cracked off. You can see some of the older leaves got really ate up by the worms, and then as we go in towards the center of the plant, we get the newer and newer leaves, and those look fine because all the wormies are gone. I am going to choose just to close the side walls only and leave the two end walls, the doors, open. Wow, look what I almost ran into. I don't know if you can see this here, but there's an orb spider right there. See it crawling down? Its web actually does go all the way across. It's huge. The web is like this, and I wish you could see it. Let's go out the other door. Those are gonna open soon. I see some lightning. You need to go to your house, okay? Go to your house, boys. Because the weather's coming in from the west, I'd also like to shut the garage door to the rabbitry. Weather scares me, but it also fascinates me. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Oh my goodness. Beautiful. It also will probably blow my carport away, so we gotta tie that down too. smell is a very, very mushroomy, and there's a little bit of almost like a dust material in the middle here among the mushrooms. Very cool. I've never grown these before, but since I was gonna set the freeze dryer already with some peppers, I wanted to go ahead and take advantage of my freeze dryer while it's somewhat full and get these drying as well. These are not automatically twisting off like I expected, so I may have to cut them off. Wow. Interesting texture. Look at how cool that is. Got a little bit of space left on the tray, and we've got to harvest the lion's mane. A little bit of the substrate as part of what the mushrooms are growing in. It came off with them. I am going to cut that off. But all in all, this block still looks pretty good. So we might get a third harvest out of it. So the freeze dryer ran for about 21 hours. And to be very honest, I don't know if I'm going to have to grow jalapenos next year. I already have a lot of them freeze dried. We just got 4 trays worth of jalapenos freeze dried, and I still have probably another pretty decent sized harvest out in the greenhouse still. So I think we'll probably be good, which is awesome. Now I haven't put away the mushrooms yet. I was wondering what several of you are probably also wondering. Are the mushrooms going to take on some of the spice from the jalapenos because they shared the freeze dryer space? Well, let's find out. Nope, not at all. It kind of smells like a jalapeno in here, but I feel like it would with, you know, the ice and everything. But the mushrooms look good. They have not really changed size or shape, just the tiniest bit. As you can see, my countertop is still taken up by the rabbit hides that we need to work on. I want to say I promise that we'll get to it, but I hope that we get to it this week. I really need to get to them this week. But for now, my new battery bank will act as our table. But I also do want to talk to you guys about this. Alrighty guys, so as you saw yesterday with that gorgeous storm that rolled in, we are officially in our fall and winter severe weather season. We have 2 seasons where we get tornadoes around here in southwestern Kentucky. Springtime, which is the classic tornado season, and then unfortunately we have a more active fall and winter season. So thank you, Opus, for sending this over. I want to talk to you guys about this because September is preparedness month, so it's the perfect time. I'm not sure how many of you are going to remember this, but a couple of years ago, we had a tornado pass pretty close to our house. And this wasn't the one that went through Mayfield, but it was a smaller tornado after that. And it actually passed by about 3 miles north of us, and it knocked our power out for, I believe, around 4 days. And 4 days is a long time to not have power, not just for things like my milking machine with my bad elbows, but also our fridges and freezers. A full freezer can keep a decent amount of temperature, but a lot of our freezers are outside, and when it is springtime and the weather's warming up, those things can start to thaw out and food can go bad very quickly. Now, we do have some friends that live decently close. We say they live just up the road, and they had a generator that they offered us because they were able to keep their power. They didn't need their generator. So when Levi went to go get it, he realized that the tornado's path had actually gone in between our houses, and it took him a long time with his truck and with our trailer to go and pick up this real big gas generator. And it was actually that same day that we learned or remembered that gas stations actually need to keep power themselves in order for the pumps to work. So not only did we have to travel pretty far with things like truck and a trailer to pick up this generator, but he had to travel real far to a gas station that actually had power in order to fill the thing up. It was a whole fiasco, and I don't want to sound ungrateful for that situation. That generator really did get our freezers and things through those 4 days. It was vital, but it was that situation that made me realize that we needed to be more prepared, and maybe we didn't want to rely on things that needed gas. I do have a smaller power bank than this, but this this one right here. This is the absolute workhorse. May I present to you the Opus Mega 3 Budget Power Station. This power station has a 3,600 watt output with a 7,000 watt surge. And what that means is things like big freezers and refrigerators, when they kick on, that compressor has a lot of power draw initially in order to get itself running. And that's the surge. And this machine can handle a surge like that and power on great. Actually, on their website, it says that it could power a fridge or a freezer for around 2 days, which has a ton of value. As you can see on the front here, there's actually 16 different ports, many different types. USB, USB-C, we've got an Anderson output, and the thing that mattered most to me was that we had some plugs down here that had a 20 watt output. There's actually one with a 30 watt. Like we could plug in our clothes dryer if we wanted to. I feel like in a power down situation, I'd want to conserve power a little bit more and hang my clothes, but being a 6-person family, washing the clothes is really important. So I actually ran a test with this. I washed a load of laundry. All right, our load of laundry is done. I did have it on the normal setting, which has 2 rinses, and we've only used 13% of our power. Many of you may have also seen in a recent vlog where I did a test where I hooked this up to my freeze dryer and we were able to sun dry an entire candy batch using only this power bank. Obviously that was just for fun, but I thought it was really cool because freeze dryers really do take a lot of power to run, and this guy did it just fine. Now, here's my milk machine. This is my big one that I use in springtime. The little one that we've used in this vlog, this could power that as well or recharge that as well. But this has a much bigger motor on it and a much bigger draw. I just want to hook this up so you can see that it does work to power my big milker, which is so valuable to me. It still has 87% battery from when I did the laundry. Turn on down here, plug us in, and turn it on. Scoot this back over here. Now this heater is a little bit dusty because I haven't had to run it all summer long, but we did outfit this shed with a 20 amp circuit because things like heaters need that amount of draw so that the plug itself doesn't overheat. This does have the capacity for that down here. Heaters do take a lot of juice, but it's totally working. Scoot this over here. The cord for our window unit air conditioner is a little bit shorter, so I had to kind of scoot it in here, but I've got that plugged in. About 457 watt draw. Blowing cold air. So a couple favorite features about the Opus power bank. You saw me just rolling it around with ease. Actually hilarious. This weighs about 80 pounds, which is quite heavy, especially if it's in a box. We have a pretty long driveway, and when this arrived, I knew that it came with a little extender handle and wheel. So what I did was I actually unpacked it in the driveway and wheeled it up the driveway in order to put it in here. Made things worlds easier for transport. And speaking of transport, if we ever need to return the favor to our friends and give them a little bit of boost of power when they need it, they don't have to come to us with a big truck or a trailer. This can easily wheel out of the shed, up the driveway, and be lifted into the back of even a small car. Highly portable, and because it's not a gas generator, obviously we don't have to depend on gas. You can actually charge this with a solar panel, and if you use the solar panel plus the wall plug that it comes with, it can charge fully in about an hour. Unlike gas generators, running this is very, very quiet. So if we needed to run it inside for things like an air conditioner, we could do so and sleep quite easily. And it's not safe to run a gas generator inside. Carbon monoxide, nobody wants that. That's not a problem with something like this. So because September is preparedness month, they are running a special on this unit. Go ahead and check the link down below. I actually just looked at this again online, and it looks like they're giving away the solar panel that is compatible with this, which is, I believe, a $400 value, and that's pretty cool. Tools like this are an investment, but it's an investment worth taking before you happen to need it. Thank you, Opus, for sponsoring this video and providing a very valuable tool to our homestead. All right, So we are in between rainstorms again, which is one of the reasons I haven't gotten to these yet, because I like to do the fleshing and tanning process outside. But if you were not here with us a couple of weeks ago, I salted these rabbit hides. And they're fine like this for quite a long time, but I would like to finish the process today on at least some of them. So as you can see, I've got big cakes of salt. I'm just gonna rinse these off. Yeah, did I get you? Now, a lot of people will sit here and peel the flesh off with your fingers, and as you can see, totally doable. You don't necessarily need fancy equipment in order to flesh your hides and to preserve them. There are several different ways of processing hides. The way that I do it is just one way, and there's several right ways to do it, I will say. Now, I have tried the egg tanning method for hides, and for rabbit hides, that didn't work really well for me, partially because something about that method doesn't lock the hairs in, and all of the hair fell out of the hides that I processed in that way. So I'm just going along this hide. I probably will go get my fleshing knife here pretty soon, because that's more what I'm used to doing. Actually, it's not an official fleshing knife that I've used in the past. It's actually a beekeeping tool called a hive tool, but someone did send me a fleshing knife, so I think I'll go grab that and see what I can manage, see if it's a little bit faster than picking it off by hand. Wow. I don't know if you could see what happened there, but I immediately started to basically just cut through the hide, which I'm not okay with doing on some of these. Some of these hides my kids really wanted to keep for themselves, and I'm pretty sure this is one of them. So I don't want to totally ruin it. So I'll go ahead and peel this by hand, and I might save that fleshing tool for hides that are a little bit thicker, like deer hides and goat hides. Rabbit hides are thinner and a little bit more delicate, so they need a little bit more of a tender touch. So I'm going to try to show you what's going on here. I've got this, I guess it's fat. It's not necessarily muscle tissue, but this yellowish layer is what I am trying to peel off. And you can see the nice, smooth, white hide underneath. I want to get all this yellowish stuff off and just have the nice, smooth hide left behind. And it's tricky, especially when you haven't practiced in a little while. This is the first one that I have done since last year. There you go, you can really see what's going on now that I've gotten a lot of it off. Beautiful hide, and this is what we don't want. As you can see, I have a different hide than what we started out with. This hide, for some reason, is a lot more stiff. And I don't really know why. I think maybe it needs to soak up a little bit more moisture, but this one is nice and floppy, and it was even before I fleshed it. For an example, I got this one. It's malleable and easier to work with, so I grabbed this guy. It's all fleshed now. Beautiful, but it's still messy, so I need to wash it up. It's important when you're handling hides that you be careful to try not to tear it. So during the cleaning process, I'm fine to rough it up like I've been doing, you know, knuckle scrubbing and all that. But what I don't want to do is grab the hide and wring it. That's going to put too much stress on it, and we don't want to cause any tears. It's starting to get rained on out there, so we had to move the project inside. And I will say, a lot of times when you're washing hides outside, you'll notice that the hide side of the skin sometimes does like to hang on to a little bit of dirt. Don't sweat this too badly. That will slough off as the hide dries and we get into the stretching process. So just giving it another good rinse, cool water, and squeezing to dry. Well, dry as well as we can. Remember, I want to try to avoid wringing it. Now, at this point in the process, our hide is just fleshed and cleaned. It is not actually tanned. At this point, I've got my little arms here that have turned themselves right side out. I do want those to still be inside out so I can tan those as well. So I need to pull those through and then lay the hide flat, hide side up, fur side down. Alrighty, so it's been a little over a half an hour since I laid this out here. It started to dry, but it's still got some dampness to it. It's still tacky. It's not close to dry by any means. And I've had this tanning solution over here, if I can get my glove on. And I've had this tanning solution in some warm water, heating up. And this is what I like to use for dealing with our hides. We've used it for goat hides and for rabbit hides, and you do not need very much for rabbit hides especially. I just want to coat the whole surface of the hide. Now, the only thing that I don't love about this particular method of tanning is that when I do spread the solution out to the edge of the hide, it does soak into the fur on the edge of the hide. And so a lot of that at the very edge is wasted. I did try an alum tan one time, and I guess I didn't do a great job of making sure the hide was submerged, because my hide definitely rotted. It was not good. But I am interested in trying that with my next batch of hides. I've got several in the freezer still. And with these little arms that I've poked back through, I want to make sure I get the tanning solution on all sides because I want everything to soak up the solution. It's not the most lovely smelling stuff. Reminds me a little bit of motor oil, but this is the preservation part of it. So what we're going to do at this point, now that everything is saturated, is turn this down on itself. So skin to skin, because we want the solution to soak in well. I'm going to leave it like this for 12 to 16 hours. Now, you don't necessarily have to wait 30 minutes in between each hide to allow it to get tacky. One way that you could kind of hasten the drying of the hide in order to put on the hide tanning material is to put on a towel like this, lay part of the towel over, and then just roll it up like that. And this will help blot that hide and dry it up a little bit. Again, the goal isn't to make it dry. We just want it to be tacky so that it can soak in the hide tanning solution. Good morning. Kitchen is a disaster, so apologies, but our hides are definitely done soaking at this point. And when I open one up, you can see that we don't see any of that orange hide tanning solution on here anymore. So it's fully soaked, and now we can just allow this to dry. Here I have one of our chairs from our kitchen table, and I'm actually going to lay this hide side up and allow this to start drying. Now, as the hide starts to dry, it's going to dry more like from the outside in, basically. And so what I want to do, as I notice the outside edges are starting to dry, is I will start stretching the hide. And actually I can do that a little bit now, and you can kind of see what's going on. This part of the process will get more obvious as the hide gets more dry, but as you work this hide by pulling it in a few different directions, you'll notice that as the hide softens, it turns a bright white, and it doesn't look as vivid right now just because this just got unfolded. But as you go, you'll be able to see that what you're doing is working. Another thing I've done is take the corner of this chair and kind of run the hide along it, stretching it out like that. And I'm not able to show you the hide breaking at this point, and regrettably, probably not in this video. So we've got another cliffhanger, but we've started the process, and that makes me feel good. Now, I do not have a ton of chairs in my house in order to lay out a whole bunch of hides, so it's going to be a process and something that I'm doing probably for the majority of this fall season. I'll have some kind of hide work going on. I'll definitely show you the last bit of the process in next week's video for sure. This vlog is plenty long enough. Our pigs are going to the butcher very soon, and I still do have some things in that freezer to include not only more hides, but I have tallow, I've got lots of bones. I'm officially out of bone broth, so I'm about to start more of that. So yeah, with that, I think I'll leave it here. I'll see you guys again soon. Your days are numbered